Okay, so I did my presentation on food issues. So I will be discussing the issues we face here. It's a very big problem, especially here in America. So weight problems in the US. Um, our population in the United States is known as having the fattest people in the world's history. 65% of our population is overweight, which means that they are anywhere from 10 to 30 pounds. And then what is ideal for their gender and body type. 30% of our population is considered obese, which is 30 pounds above where they should be. Um, Being obese is dangerous and very unhealthy. Obesity is dangerous because it can lead to diabetes, and as we all know, diabetes is a very serious disease. It can affect your health by damaging your kidneys, your feet, your heart, your blood vessels, your nerves. So it's just a lot of things that it can affect. So it's very dangerous, and there's times where people have even lost body parts because of diabetes. So bad eating habits. So obviously here in America we have a lot of bad eating habits. Um, Breakfast. So it's always been said that breakfast is pretty much the most important meal of the day, but not enough people actually take the time to actually eat breakfast. It's a fact that 20% of our population doesn't eat breakfast. I'm guilty of that. With work and school or just in general, I'm always busy, and I feel like many of us just don't have, or I guess make the time for it. So sometimes we'll also say, okay, well, we need to eat breakfast, so we don't have enough time to make breakfast in the morning, so we pick up a cereal box at the store. And we pick one up that we believe is a healthier type of cereal because we saw it on the box being advertised as healthy, or we saw it on the TV. So, for example, Special K. Special K is advertised as a healthy type of slimmed down cereal. They claim it's made with whole grains and fiber. I came across an article where they looked into it, and it turns out that this cereal is mostly made out of white rice, then with whole grain wheat. And every cup you eat of the cereal is sweetened with 2 teaspoons of sugar. So I know of a lot of people who buy this cereal because, oh, well, it's healthy and all kinds of stuff, but really, they don't have any idea of how bad the false advertising is. If it's not cereal, people think that, oh, well, eating eggs with bacon and toast, that's a better alternative. But these foods obviously have way too many calories and fats. I mean, you eat toast, you're probably gonna butter it. Bacon, obviously, bacon is very fattening. Eggs are pretty high in cholesterol, and just the way we make them too, I feel like it's pretty unhealthy. Um, Also, schools. Schools is another big issue with eating habits. The schools should be giving the children in our country healthier type of food than what they do, but it's been proven that these foods that they are preparing in the schools are too high in fat. So, um, there was a study that took place held by the United States Department of Agriculture, and they actually found that the average amount of fat that's in a week's worth of school lunches is at 38%, when in reality they should be at 30%. So that's pretty high considering where they should be at. It's been found that the number one meal served in the United States is chicken fingers and fries. So we all know chicken fingers, not healthy. Fries, not healthy. Um, they also said that processed food is much cheaper than fresh food, which of course we all know that, but there are regulations that these schools are supposed to be meeting, and it's not being done. They're trying to save money instead, and I mean, I feel like that's why we all pay so many taxes and whatnot, so that they could, invest in feeding the children better food than what they are. Americans we another issue with it is that we eat too much. And that's why there's so much obesity now and overweight people. Um, it's been said that nowadays we eat 140 pounds more than what we did only 10 years ago. So that's a huge difference. Like 140 pounds is a lot. I feel like these issues really come from the fact that there's all these restaurants who are serving more, I guess, like bigger portions of food, and they're also making it more affordable. So, for example, McDonald's has the whole supersize thing, and it's really not that expensive to do that. Or all these fast food restaurants were starting to do where it's $4 for four different items, and like you're getting like two burgers or something, stuff like that, even though I guess they seem smaller, but it's a lot of calories. And I mean, not just fast food, but like even the actual sit down restaurants are offering stuff like that. Like I know Olive Garden was doing this whole thing where you pay a certain price, and even though it was limited time, you would pay a certain price and it wasn't that expensive, and you just you want lasagna, you get lasagna. You want pasta? Okay, now you get pasta. Like it just as you go, you get more and more food. It doesn't matter if you already got an entree, you get another entree, and that's all for the price you pay, which is not a lot. Um, so sulfites in our food. Sulfites in our food. So as we all know, of course, preservatives are used in so many different things, canned foods, wines, all kinds of stuff. And for the simple fact of they're trying to make sure the food doesn't spoil quickly. Um, Preservatives are seen as a great thing because, it's gonna help your food not rot so fast. A lot of groceries are pretty expensive and we want them to last. So not all of us see it as a bad thing. But it does come with health risks, and it affects a lot of people, not everyone, but it does affect some people by like breaking them out into hives or putting them into shock, or it's a big problem for some people with asthma. Um, it has been said that sulfites have been the cause of death in at least 12 deaths. So, I mean, just something to think about. So, competition in industries. So, soft drinks are a huge business here in the US. Every year, one person drinks about 50 gallons of soda. That's really high. Um, like, I feel like that's a lot of soda for one person in only 1 year. Like, we shouldn't even be drinking soda often. So, this leads us back to, of course, like diabetes. Soda just has a lot of sugar, and yeah, that's how you get diabetes. There's other health issues that come along with it. Um, the Pepsi and Coca-Cola company have found ways to make a higher profit, and they do this by what is called calendar marketing. Calendar marketing agreements. Calendar marketing agreements are contracts that where they have a supermarket feature only their brand of drinks for certain weeks out of the year. And in exchange, the supermarket will receive payments for that or rebates. So I'm kind of thinking, I guess it's kind of like when we see the Cokes all stacked up really nicely and it'll have like Super Bowl 50 or whatever, and a cool design on it, and they're advertising the Super Bowl, but it's just like Coca-Cola or something. I see this at Walmart pretty much every year. And I feel like this is when the sales really start to rise up. So they are also able to sell at a very low price, and they still are able to make a really good profit out of it. Um, they also do something that's called a premium placement, and that's when the drink is placed like at an eye level position or at the end of the aisle. And this also gets them a lot more sales. So I guess if it's like at the end of the aisle, I guess it's easier to spot than if it would be like somewhere in the middle, because I know sometimes when I'm looking for something in the middle shelves, I'm kind of like, okay, there's a lot here in the middle. Like, there's a lot going on. If we see them at the end of the aisles, we're going to see them right as we're going to walking out. All right, so questionable food selling practices. There are a few selling practices that have been under question and confusing to us, to where we still can't really, I guess, grasp them. We can't really understand them just yet. For example, there's something called a hush hush payment, and those are taken under the table from suppliers, and these payments are pretty much in exchange for the promotion of certain products, meeting a set amount goal of product sales. The process is not against the law, it's not illegal, but it does keep us as consumers in the dark from knowing what their motive is really intended to be. Now, we also have to worry about whether or not our privacy is protected when we go on to check out at the store. They believe that now when you pay at the register with an ATM card or even a regular debit card, that stores are able to access your personal information, and they're selling that information, such as like your credit. And they have said that when you shop in places and you utilize the checkout coupon system, that is when the information issue comes into play. The checkout coupon system is a device that is used at checkout, and it prints coupons instantly, depending on what you bought. Um, and it's, of course, to make you want to buy more of those products the next time you go back or interest you in a similar product. Um, Price manipulation is also an issue because they believe that the store goes and advertises the price of something they lowered, but then they go ahead and raise the price for other items in the stores. So, it's kind of like they're still winning. They haven't been able to prove this yet, but it's also believed that when people receive their welfare checks, stores go ahead and raise their prices and lower them after a few days, while of course, like I guess welfare checks usually come in the first of the month. So I guess they wait a couple days when it's like maybe 5, 6 days after, and they'll raise the prices again, or they're lower. I'm sorry. Um, Another questionable food selling practice is scanning errors. So the federal and state governments held a study, and it was found that about 294 retailers were charged errors. So 5% of the time, half of them were overcharged. Half of them were overcharges. This is something I guess I'm always paranoid about. I've seen it happen to my mom where something costs a certain amount and they scan it differently, then they make up some ridiculous excuse as to why it happened. So it's always good, I guess, to like pay attention to your receipts. I personally I like to go do the self checkout. At the self checkout, you're scanning and you could see like obviously you could see if something's a little weird, like hey, no, like I wouldn't have bought this if that was that price. So also cents off food coupons. I mean, it's to save money for, I guess, for us, but the critics say that it's a waste and it's too time consuming. And then there's packaging costs. That's also big. The manufacturers pick something nice that will catch our eyes as consumers. So like the way the packaging is on a certain, I guess, like a certain bag of rice or something. Just to catch our eyes, and we'll be like, hey, like that looks nice, like I'm gonna try that. But then that goes ahead and raises the price of the actual product by 8.5%. So honestly, I don't know about everyone else, but I think I would rather get something not so fancy and packaged, because what are we gonna do with the packaging? Nothing at all. Um, Packaging is just packaging, and I do know of a lot of people who will be like, oh, well, this has pretty packaging, so I'm gonna try it. Shouldn't be the case. So I'd rather not pay for fancy packaging and just pay a decent price and probably still get a good quality product. So, food safety in the US. So, food purchased here in the United States is pretty much the safest in the world. Even the government has given them more room to self-regulate, and so foodborne illnesses keeps increasing. That number is increasing, meanwhile government inspections have declined. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 76 million foodborne illnesses occur every year. So that's quite high. It's mostly Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, and while other organisms in foods like hot dogs, fish, hamburger meat, so just different type of meats coming from animals, well, of course from animals. It has been said that every day about 200,000 people get sick from foodborne illness. 900 of them end up in the hospital, and 14 of them end up passing away. So, food additives. A food additive is added to foods to alter it. They're added to preserve the freshness of the food and reduce how much food we waste. Um, Food tends to spoil very quickly if we don't add these types of additives, preservatives, all kinds of stuff. And so yes, we do end up wasting a lot of food. But then again, there's always something like some kind of catch, which is of course like side effects that are actually affecting us and our health. So some additives added are vitamins that are actually needed in our diet, so I guess that's kind of more of a good thing. But they also use antibiotics, and the antibiotics are being used to treat disease outbreaks in like pigs, cattle, chickens, and in return, humans are becoming resistant to them. So whatever type of antibiotic that are into those chickens, I don't know exactly what it is they put in these animals, but then let's say our doctor prescribes something, and I guess it's something similar to that. It won't really help us fight off the infection that we have right now or stuff like that. So they could be a good thing, but they can also be, I mean, they're a good thing, I guess, for the animals, but for us, it ends up just being a bad thing.